Welcome to another video. So today we're ranking Kingdom Rush Alliance Alta Towers. So before we start the video, don't forget to vote for what Kingdom Rush game I should play next for my channel. When I finish all the Kingdom Rush games, I will make a video about ranking every Kingdom Rush game. So stay tuned for that video. Okay, for the first tower we have Tri-Canyon. Tri-Canyon is pretty expensive tower. It's basically a mortar tower from the previous games, but it can hit multiple targets. One of its weakness, it cannot attack flying enemies, but it has special ability like Overheat. It has ability Scorch that does burning damage. That's pretty cool. Basically it's burn effect from BTD6, man. Also it has bombardment skill that bombs a surrounding area. And it hits multiple targets instead of 3, so pretty decent skills, man. Okay, so after describing the stuff, where do I think I put him? It does decent damage, but the biggest thing about this tower, it's really expensive. If it was slightly cheaper, I think I would put it higher. Burn damage is good, bombardment skill is good, but it does not hit enemies that have resistance to physical damage. But all burn damage is also good, so I think C tier is pretty good. Maybe after ranking other towers, maybe I'm gonna put it higher. The next thing is the archers. Okay, next one we have Royal Archers. So Royal Archers, it's basically range tower that does range damage, but biggest thing about it can ignore in max level. If you max out a skill, it can ignore like 50% of their defense. I think it counts as also magical defense. So that attack attacks 3 enemies. So yeah, fast attack, pretty decent damage. I think the worst part about this guy, it struggles with a lot of enemies at the same time. So yeah, it can easily beat one enemy, but handling multiple enemies is kinda hard for them. Also they have Bird, that's basically just bird that attacks enemies, similar to Vengeance Tower. So yeah, time to rank this tower. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put this guy in B tier. It can attack flying enemies, it's pretty cheap. It struggles with magic enemies, but it can pierce through armor, so it does help against magic enemies with that thing. So ignoring magic, it can ignore resistances, it can attack flying enemies, just struggles a little bit with a lot of enemies at the same time. So yeah, I think solid A tier is good for this guy. Okay, next one we have Arcane Wizard. Okay, Arcane Wizard does really good damage. And it has insta-kill ability that instantly kills enemies. So pretty decent ability, man. If it hits the bosses, this ability does a fuck ton of damage to them. The range is pretty decent, it's pretty cheap. I think the only bad part about this tower is that it cannot attack multiple targets at the same time. So if there's a wave with a lot of enemies, it cannot get overwhelmed. Also, if it would target enemies, it would be pretty good. Also, I think opponents with magic resistance is pretty hard, but if you have insta-skill ability, I think it's gonna kill them. So yeah, magic resistance and multiple enemies is this guy's weakness, but able to buff other towers makes him a pretty decent support tower. Okay, so increase the attack of towers for 40%. 40% attack increase is pretty fucking good. So I think I'm gonna keep it in A tier until we're gonna rank more towers. Do I think I want to move archers to B tier right now? No, I think ignoring defense is pretty good, but yeah, I think probably I'm gonna put archers maybe later in B tier maybe. So yeah. Okay, so now we reach Paladin Cabinet, one of the strongest barracks or reinforcements in this game. So what their abilities are? Well, they have lead of example veteran paladins that buffs nearby just buffs other paladins attack basically 20%. Also, paladins can become invincible. What was it called? Okay, so they can become invincible and they basically regen HP when they're invincible. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But there's also, they have one major weakness is that they cannot attack flying enemies like you see right here, man. So yeah, good towers, but they struggle with good defensive towers, but they struggle with flying enemies a lot, man. Like you see here. So where do I want to rank them? So I think I'm gonna put them in B tier. Very good tower, but because of the flying enemy weakness, I cannot put it any higher. Also, there's a couple of enemies that can, when they kill your towers, I mean your ground units, they regenerate HP. So because of these things, I cannot put them any higher. So yeah, if there's a lot of small enemies at the same time, they're gonna get a little bit overwhelmed also. So yeah, time to rank another tower. Okay, next one is Ballista Outpost. It's an interesting tower. It's basically you want to focus on a big strong enemy. Basically, you use this guy on bosses or mini bosses. It can slow down enemies, explosive arrows, or slow down enemies for 6 seconds. So very good against mini bosses and very tanky slow enemies. I think it can, if I remember, it can also attack flying enemies. So yeah, it struggles with a lot of small enemies, but very good against mini bosses and tankier enemies. It seems to handle flying enemies pretty well. It has a couple niche uses, but it does his job well. It's more like a support tower, but yeah, the range is pretty decent, not too expensive. So I think very good places for Beast there. It has couple specific uses and couple specific levels, but I will not bring him in every level. So I think solid B tier is good for this tower. Okay, next tower is Arabo Mastery. So it has ability to he summon wisps that heal your allies. So basically a support tower only for barracks or towers that summon allies to stun them, or towers that summon stunning towers. It could work for your barracks. So yeah, healing wisps that heal enemies, finds that stall enemies, and also his attacks decreases enemies attack. So a good support tower for your barrack units, basically. So a magic tower that can make enemies weaker, but it cannot ignore defenses like magic resistance or something. It also struggles with a lot of enemies. Also, it will not work very good against mini bosses and bosses, but ability to buff barracks makes him better. Do I think Arcane Tower is better? Arcane Tower can actually buff your all the towers, but this guy only buffs only one type of towers. But healing and stunning is pretty good. I think this tower, you can use it in more strategies. This you can only use in a couple of specific levels and strategies. So I'm gonna probably Yeah, I think I'm gonna move this guy higher because of ability to buff towers. Do I want to ballista move even higher? Probably gonna move this guy closer to 8 tier. The one ballista improvement. I think ballista. Yeah, I think ballista is pretty good in B tier. So okay, next tower. Okay, so demon pits are rock towers that summon units that stun enemies. I mean, summon demons that explode upon death. Also, they summon these chonkers called Big Boss that they just do more health, they have more health, do more damage, and they have another skill that makes them do more damage when they explode. So pretty cool skills, man. Pretty fucking cool skills. Well, I chose that skill. They also, when they die, they will not activate enemy skills where if they kill your units, they heal. So pretty solid. Also, I think they can spawn more units than 3 at the same time, different than paladins. But they cannot attack flying enemies, and explosions, if you max out skill, they do pretty decent chunk of damage. But I tried them in many levels, they're definitely not better than paladins. But I like using them because of the big chunker unit. Because the chunker is absolutely hilarious how he looks. Oh no, not this guy. I'm probably gonna put this in beta because of my personal bias, because I like the chunky boy. Okay, now let's move on from the chunky boy to what's the next one? To the flamethrower guy, I think. Okay, now we have Papa Battle Brewmasters. Basically, a tower that does splash damage. And if you upgrade his first skill, Bad Bash, the splash damage attacks do poison damage now. Though he has ground unit that's pretty decent stats, but it will not stall many towers. But this hybrid tower, pretty good. It does physical damage, but against magical towers that have it struggles with magical resistant towers. But ability to do splash damage. Also, I think it cannot attack flying enemies, so I think flying enemies is a big no-no for this tower. So yeah, I think that's it for this tower. So now last time to rank this tower. Okay, I think I'm gonna triple rockets move to D tier, and a Brewmaster I think to C tier. Yeah, attacking multiple enemies is pretty hype, but flying enemies and magic and physical resisting towers really screw this guy over. One reinforcement tower is pretty good, but doesn't help too much against this tower. It helps to stall the enemies, so it could attack more enemies. But I don't feel, yeah. Probably gonna stay at C tier, man. Yeah, flying enemies really screwed this guy over, man. Okay, next tower is my favorite tower, the Necromancer tower. Basically, when it kills enemies, it spawns spooky, scary skeletons to stall them. Pretty cool. Also, Horseman is pretty good, deals raider damage, and also he has beaconing totems that basically increase damage in that area where he summons a totem. So pretty cool skills, man, pretty cool skills. So this is gonna be definitely a easy. So I think Necromancer will be easy S tier, the easiest S tier in my life, man. Okay, next one is Elven Stargazer, a magic tower that can attack multiple towers at the same time. That's really helps a lot, man. Also, it can teleport 3 enemies at level 1, 4 enemies at level 2, and 5 enemies at level 3. So explosion damage, multiple attacks, and ability to teleport. Very good tower. It it struggles with enemies with magic resistance, but also it cannot buff other towers, so not ability to buff other towers, but this tower that works alone, but doesn't likes to work with other towers not too much. So it's basically you put this tower if there is no mini bosses or bosses in that level, and it's good against flying enemies. Yeah, and there's no way to put towers closer to each other in that level. So yeah, if there is no way to put other towers close to this tower, you could use this as substitute, or the level where there's a lot of small enemies, and this guy would struggle. If you have Necromancer Tower, I think you rather use Necromancer Tower, but this guy is a good second option, or you could use both them to use this as to summon the Necromancer Towers and this to support this tower or teleport enemies back. You could use it at the end of the close to... I think the best case use for this tower is using it close to end of your defense. It's the last minute defense if your barracks can't hold or there's like flying enemies, so it has good uses, man. So I think I'm gonna put it at 8 tier. Good tower, but it could be slightly better at some situations, so yeah. Also, it's good, it's pretty cheap, man. Okay, then we have Dwarven Flamethrower. It's good against multiple enemies at the same time, and it inflicts burn damage that, you know, burns stuff for a couple of seconds, and I think it can attack flying enemies. Also, Eruption Flamethrower ability, it does pretty good damage. Yeah, magical. Oh, it does long physical damage. So, if enemies' resistance to physical damage is pretty bad, man, pretty fucking bad. But it is good. But you need definitely a couple of towers to stall enemies. And what does it cost? So I think it has solid damage. It struggles with enemies with physical resistance. Its attack speed could be better, but it has pretty strong DPS per second. So I think putting its strong B tier is pretty good. Also, it is good against multiple enemies. It has ability to attack flying enemies. You need a couple of barracks to stall him, to help him against a lot of enemies at the same time. Yeah, I think solid 8 tier is good. So, okay, I think I said everything I want to say about this dwarfy flamethrower boy. Next tower. Okay, next one we have Dune Sentry. A range tower that is pretty cheap to upgrade. The first skill, physical blade that deals whatever damage, and if you kill with this blade you get bonus gold. Making bonus gold in this game, there's not a lot of towers that make bonus gold, so getting extra money is always pretty nice, man. You probably put him close to exit where a lot of enemies die. So yeah. Also, it has Whirlwind ability, deals damage. Whirlwind Doom, physical blade damage per second, so yeah. Okay, so basically to summarize, this tower does low damage, it can attack multiple enemies at the same time. One of his attacks, when it kills an enemy, you get a little bit of extra money. Also cheap, does low damage, but it can struggles against enemies with physical resistance, and it's really weak against enemies with a lot of HP or tanky boys. So it's like a weak DPS unit that's good for cleanup at the exit. I think she's basically plays the same role as the Wizard Tower, but it's pretty bad at cleaning up or finishing off, but extra money is good, so I think B tier is good because she can attack flying and ground unit, but her DPS pretty bad, but having extra money in tower defense game is pretty good. But she needs a better second ability because this tower second ability is pretty fucking bad, man. Okay, moving on to I think the flying boys. Okay, now we have rocket gunners, barrack unit that can block flying enemies. It has missiles that do damage. Also, it has physical coding, destroys enemies' armor deals. So it can destroy enemies' armor. And it has rockets that use them from a long range to attack them. So pretty good, man, pretty fucking good. So Rocketeers are flying tower that is good at stalling flying enemies, and it can send in the ground enemies. So it's a rare tower that can stall flying enemies, and it can destroy armor. That's also pretty rare ability. Also, it has long range rockets. So he's not good at stalling enemies as the knights, but his main purpose I think is stalling flying enemies. Also has two modes for mid-maxing if you don't have any flying enemies in that wave. So not the best at stalling, but stalling flying enemies is a real and interesting niche ability. Do I want him put him in C tier? Or I want to put him higher? Also it's barracks with range abilities. I don't know, man. I really like the idea of this tower. I don't want to put him in C or D, but I don't want to put him in B, maybe C+. This is better than the Yimpy Explodey boys. Okay, Rocketeer, the Boomerang guys. I think Boomerang guys are better than the Yimpy boys. The 3 buffer I think is better. Yeah. I think that's good. Flamethrower. Yeah, probably here seems about good. Okay, now we have 4 towers left to rank. Okay, next one we have Eldritch General, a magic tower that does pretty decent damage and it does splash damage. So pretty good damage tower. Also slowing down, turning people to sheep. That's kind of funny. Oh no, sheepy boys, they're turning into sheep. The funniest shit I seen. So yeah. Pretty decent magic tower with DPS, and it's pretty cheap to upgrade, and it attacks flying enemies. So yeah, time to rank it. Okay, so is it better than the elf? I mean, I think he can attack more enemies at the same time. If you upgrade this level and ability to slow down enemies, yeah, I think he definitely does more DPS than this tower. She's good at close to the exit, but she's closer to the front, or maybe I think the best place is the middle of the map. Also turning people into sheep with low HP. This guy he struggles with magic resistance, guys. This guy does more damage to bosses and mini bosses, but this guy struggles with mini bosses. So I think this guy is better on the boss stages. This guy is better on normal stages, where there are no bosses or mini bosses. So yeah, I think that's a fair rating. Also, this guy can buff towers. This guy is good in even the mini boss stages because he can buff his own damage. So yeah, time to rank I think the shadowy boys. Okay, next one is Grim Wraiths, probably the strongest barrack units. It has ability to switch places with towers, or it can just go to random location where there's free space. Also, when they die, they summon Grim Wraiths that slow down enemies and reduce and halving their damage. Also, when they spend enough time in combat, they do like double times their damage. So, what can I say? Best defense is good attack, man. Time to rank these. Okay, having towers that do true damage when they die is pretty fucking good. Also, ability to move is really good for Barak units. But they have couple weaknesses like flying enemies. Enemies resistant to, I think they do magic damage or physical damage. I think they do physical damage. Despite their shortcomings, I think they were first there, definitely. Time to rank on 2 remaining and then it's end of the video, guys. Oh, okay, time for Twilight Longbow. It's probably one of the strongest towers in Kingdom Rush history because of its ability of Trial of the Hunt. Each time it kills enemies, its attack increases 1 or 2, and I don't think it has a limit, so it can have like 100 plus the damage. It's a really fucking busted ability, man, but it doesn't. So goddamn, it can have like from 150 to go to like 300 damage, and its range is so fucking high. It also has elves that stall enemies. So probably it should be good. This tower should be its own tier, like God tier or something like that, or like Shadow Elf. So Shadow Elves, I think, are maybe even better than fucking Necromancers and Wraiths combined. So incredibly strong archer with barracks, and you can also buff it with like a wizard tower or something like that. Make it even more crazier, or even weaken enemies with magic towers. If you want it, you can really make this tower really fucking strong, man. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Okay, the final tower of this day's video is Bog Herring. It's a hybrid tower that does magic and range damage. You just need to press this button and it changes its attack damage. Also has a jumper ability that insta kills enemies. That's pretty fucking dope, man. That's pretty fucking dope. Also it has stomp ability. Every time it jumps into the sky, enemies dealing damage, and it jumps into air, does some damage and stunning. Also this ability allows him to avoid insta kill attacks from the bosses. So pretty cool and interesting tower. DPS could be better, but ability to change damage types really helps him out, man. So time to rank this Froggy Boy. So Froggy Boy, it cannot attack multiple enemies at the same time. That's gonna hurt him, but ability to change damage types, it helps him with resistances. Flying enemies is not a problem, but he will struggle with mini bosses and bosses because he's low DPS. And he doesn't buff other towers. He can stun and jump and avoid bosses insta kills, so it's gonna save you a little bit of money. So fun gimmicky tower, I think. Definitely better than Rocketeers or Demon Pit. I will definitely like the boomerang throwers more, so I think somewhere in B for the Bullfroggy Boy. I think it's a good tier. Do I want to change anything before we finish the video? Probably I like this Elfie Boy more. Do I want Flamethrower Tower put him higher? Probably no. I think this is a good ranking. So anyway, thank you for watching and have a good one. Oh cool, Ironhide posted new video. I wonder what it's all about. Are you kidding? DLC with new tower? I just released a video of fucking ranking all the towers. God fucking damn it. Ironhide!